What's good with it in the hood with it? Welcome back to the collective clips where you already know we about to get it in. But before we get it in, let's get to the intro. Straight up. Welcome back to the collective clips. If you haven't hit that like and subscribe button, make sure that you hit it. Put your notification bell on all so that way you're directing the direction of the dope content that the gun is kicking. And I highly appreciate it. And I'm very humbled by all your support. Thank you. So Cain Velasquez, there's a lot of questions, man. There's a lot of broken hearts, a lot of bleeding hearts, right? There's a lot of people like myself that don't believe he should be incarcerated, but understand the reason why. Okay. Anytime something happens to children, kids, especially your own kids, the motherfucking lion comes out. Okay. The animalistic nature of a person is crazy, right? Yes, we do got animal in us. We got beast. And the beast definitely came out and Cain Velasquez in defense of his child. I understand. I ride with them on it. I sympathize, but you can't take the law into your own hands. That's plain and simple. When you do that, doesn't matter who you are, there's going to be some repercussions for your actions. It's the way it is. Okay. I've been getting asked a lot of questions about Cain Velasquez. Let me break it down in as simple as I can. The man was given 5 years. Okay. 5 years. He already has credit for about over 1,000 days. 3 years he has credit for. Okay. So because of the violence of the crime, because it's a violent crime, he will be afforded 85%, meaning he will do 85% of his time. So 85% off of what, 10 years is what? Like 8 years, something, a few months, right? Or just about 9 years. So you take the 3 years off that. Okay, you take the 3 years out, 8 years. What the fuck am I talking about? 5 years, 85%. That's what? That's a couple years, take 3 years. It looks like a quick turnaround for Cain. Looks like he might not ever even hit a main line. If he does, he will be on the SNY side. See, yesterday I did a video breaking the news on Cain Velasquez getting sentenced to 5 years. I did actually break the news. It was out there, but I broke it on my channel, right? And I didn't know all the details of where he was at. One of the homies from Gilroy called me. He was like, hey, bro, that Vato is wearing a brown t-shirt in Santa Clara County Jail. That means he is housed protective custody. So I did my little proper phone calls and did what I had to do. And yes, he is in protective custody. Now, this is why Cain Velasquez is being housed in protective custody. First of all, it's not for his own safety because I don't think anybody on that yard wants to see any part of Cain Velasquez at all, right? He has major mitts. But it's because of his celebrity, the nature of his crime, and who he is why they put him in protective custody. Now, that doesn't mean if you're a star, if you're a rapper, if you're anything that you have to go to protective custody. No, you're giving the opportunity and the chance. Now, ultimately, you're going to be placed wherever they put you. You know, in that, you really have no choice. But they're going to ask you before they put your life in jeopardy and place you in protective custody. Because while incarcerated, being placed in protective custody is something that is not easy. It's not like anyone could just go. Not anyone could just PC up. There has to be a rhyme or a reason. They're not going to just put you there because you say you can't be around people. You're going to have to show them that you can't be around people. You're going to have to go take that fucking ass kicking just like everybody else. Now, there are cases in the CDC, in the prison system where dudes fake heart attacks or roll it up or PC up or say that they can't be on a certain yard. You know, it's funny. Somebody left a comment the other day. He said, if you're on the other side, there's one point in your life, at some point, you had to tell the cops that you couldn't function on that yard, that you had to roll it up. That's a lie. That's not the truth. You know, people get whacked and removed. They didn't tell the cops that they couldn't be there. The cops seen enough physical evidence to realize, hey, this guy is a safety concern. He has safety concerns, or it's a threat if we put him back on this yard. And so they put you up for committee. ICC is what it's called. And they decide to place you on certain yards. There's other incidences where maybe you removed someone, man. Someone told on you. You get out, you keep doing something, and then you give up the ghost. You realize, man, this ain't for me. You know, and you don't have to tell the cops, hey, I need protective custody. You just tell them, hey, I ain't fucking around no more. Then they're going to place you where they place you. So there's a lot of different ways to get to the SNY side or whatever they call protective custody side. it's not necessarily you being scared and telling the cops you can't function on that yard. They're going to figure that out for you. Now, in Cain Velasquez's situation, he never told the cops, hey, I'm scared. I can't function on the yard. We're talking about the UFC, the ex-heavyweight champion with major jiu-jitsu skills. They'll choke someone out quick, right? I don't think it was a safety concern. I think it was them doing it because of his celebrity. Now, there are celebrities that, and you got to understand, let's put it like this. In Cain Velasquez's situation, he's not living that street life, never hasn't been a gang member, maybe associates with some friends that quite possibly lived the life. So he has a little heads up on what's going on. I'm sure he knows now that he's been in jail or that he did a year in Santa Clara County Jail. He knows what North is, what Sur is, what Crips and Bloods are. But this guy was a civilian, someone who made a rash decision, a spur of the moment decision, and now has to suffer the consequences. He's taking it on the chin like a champ, right? He's going and willing to go to prison and do what he has to do. But at the end of the day, okay, you need to realize that he's held to a different standard. See, civilians and gang members or people that live that street life, whether you're a criminal, a drug addict, a gang member, you're part of that game, right? You're held to a certain standard. If you've lived the street life, if you've been a gang member, then you're expected to fucking proceed as one. You have to play them games because that's the game you chose. Okay? When you're a civilian, you're someone who's never been a part of that. Hey, jail is just jail to you. Now, of course, when you get to prison, you're going to function with your own race. You're going to fucking go by the rules of your surroundings, of your geography. That's a fact. Hey, not even Cain Velasquez is immune to that. You know, if this is the way the Mexicans are kicking it, that's the way you're going to kick it. You're not going to be able to fraternize with the enemy or fraternize with this person or that person just because of who you are. Now, Cain is an anomaly. He's a hybrid. He's something different. Because he's Mexican, of course, he will kick it with Mexicans. Plain and simple and period. That's just the way it is. But I'm sure his celebrity and everybody will have something to say as far as, hey, what's up, Cain? You know, he's a modest person. He's a respectful person, and they're going to respect him. Now, that doesn't mean that if something kicks off between the whites, the blacks, the Mexicans, that he won't be asked to be of assistance. Obviously, if someone's coming at him with a knife, he's going to protect himself, right? Now, being that he's in protective custody doesn't mean he's protected. It just means he's on that side of the facility. He's placed where they can monitor him and watch him closer. He's in a place where people are not necessarily playing certain politics, but that doesn't mean politics are not being played. There's still the racial thing. There's still dropout gangs that are trying to fucking move on people and do all that. There's still murders, even more so than there is on the main lines, on the GPs. And that's because it's the Wild Wild West situation, right? So he's actually in a harsher and worse environment than he would be if he was in general population, to tell you the truth. But I think he was placed there because of his celebrity. He was not placed there because of security concerns, but maybe they could have placed him there because of security concerns with other people. Now, this is what trips me out. This is what not people ain't touching on. Okay, so what? Cain Velasquez is a PC. He's what you would consider a PC case. When he gets out, you're not going to see people judging him or talking about, hey, you're a dropout or a DO or a PC case or you function on that yard. Reason being is he was a civilian. He's going to go to whatever yard they place him on. He's going to do his time and try to get back to his family. That's understandable. He's never been a part of that life. Now, his eyes will be opened in jail. He will bite. Adam and Eve bit into that apple. He will take a little bite of that apple and realize right and wrong, good and evil. Whatever he chooses to do and the way he conducts himself in prison is according to what he's going to do. They're going to place him in a situation on an SNY yard or a protective custody yard that I don't think is going to be viable for him. Reason being is this. Those yards do contain people that are deviants of a sexual nature. The same crime that he went vigilante on, that he actually, his kid went through the situation. There's going to be those, what are they called? SOs. There's going to be those type of guys on the yards where he's going if he makes it to a mainline, or to a SNY yard. So how he's able to conduct himself and stay out the way is a question that's definitely going to be answered because he's going to have all the time to do that. Now, with him having time served and with it being 85%, I could see him never making it past San Quentin. I could see him going to San Quentin, getting his number, his CDC number, definitely taking that picture, doing whatever they have to do in R&R, doing his blood tests and all that. and maybe just sitting there, because one thing I know about the CDC is they're not trying to take people that have just a little bit of time. It's not worth it. It's not worth the bed space. There's other people doing all day that they could be utilizing that bed space for. Now, I honestly believe Cain Velasquez will be on a 3-yard. And if he does hit a yard, it's going to be a softer yard, probably, since he's SNY, either CMC or Mule Creek or a prison like that. And that doesn't necessarily mean he's safe or anyone else is safe. Because if you guys understand, I just did a video on my other channel. Make sure you tap into Gunners Collective TV, where a woman just got unalived at visiting by her husband or her boyfriend, right? Who already was serving 4 consecutive life sentences for killing 4 people during a robbery. So there's people that will still take you out. You know, nobody's safe. It doesn't matter if you're a UFC fighter. It doesn't matter if you have major hands. You can't stop 5 people with knives coming at you. Now, because of Cain Velasquez's crime, he's more looked at as a hero, as a savior, as someone to be acknowledged and respected. I don't think people are going to have a crazy bone in their body to pick when it comes to Cain Velasquez just because of what he's in prison for, right? You know, no one hates on that. The cops are going to think highly of him. Everyone's going to think highly of him. It's a different society and a different world in prison. And there's a pecking order. And he's definitely, maybe not on the top of that pecking order, but he's pretty high up there just based on who he is and what he's locked up for. But the SNY yards will be tricky because, like I said, there are people in there. There's people in there that have done bad things to children. Okay, so I don't know how he's going to be able to be surrounded by those type of people or conduct himself. You know, the best thing for him to do is go in there, remember that he has a family. He's not part of that life. Go do your time, educate yourself, stick to yourself, work out, utilize it as an opportunity to better yourself and better your mind and get the fuck out. You know, that's what all prisoners are supposed to do. You're supposed to go in there and rebuild yourself. Not a lot of people take the initiative to do that. They get involved in gangs. They get involved with politics. They get involved with gambling and drinking on them yards. They get involved in the fucking reindeer games and the shenanigans, and they get shenaniganed up. And then what happens? Well, I'm going to explain to you what happens. What happens is they get caught up, and I've seen guys going with 8 months, 16 months, 36 months, and turn it into 36 years, 18 years to life, all that. It happens. If you want to go in there and play Billy Badass, well, guess what, Billy? There's always going to be a badass, you know, straight up. These guys like Wes Watson, these guys like Big Boy, these guys that glorify prison and play convict and act like they're tougher than everyone else because they've been locked up, or tell you these fucked up stories and lie about how hardcore they were and who they beat up and what they had to do. Them guys are bullshitters. Real guys see between them lines, you know, right in between those ass cheeks. They've experienced only experiences that they enjoy. Not everyone else does. A real one will tell you prison is for the birds, homie, and not the well guy. It's not where you want to be. There's nothing good about prison. And Cain Velasquez is definitely going to find that out. I'm sure he found that out sitting there in county jail. Now, as far as the protective custody thing, dudes were like, oh, man, I could walk the main line. So you're going to tell Cain Velasquez you're a punk because you can't walk the main line? He can pretty much walk any main line he wants. But this man is not a part of that life. He's going to go wherever the hell they tell him to. And I respect it. There's not one single person in this world, not Dana White, not Mike Tyson, not fucking you, not me, that are going to sit there and tell Cain Velasquez you're a PC case because you were in protective custody. Okay, there's those badass motherfuckers that act like they're tough, but they ain't really never been anywhere. They don't understand the politics and what happens. Because of his celebrity, he was placed in a brown T-shirt in Santa Clara County. Now, once you functioned on a SNY yard or a protective custody yard or a 50-50 yard or any type of yard designated by the gangs in the California prison system as no good, you cannot come back to a prison yard mainline GP and function. You're not welcome. You're no longer welcome, not because you're a punk or not because you might have did something. It's because you function around sex offenders. That's the truth. You function around people that were garbage. So you're considered birds of a feather flock together. Even if you had no interaction, even if you chose to stay away from those people, you were on the same yard as them. That's the way it works, okay? Now, of course, there's selective politicking. I've seen dudes get backs and go to the main line that were on SNY yards. I've seen a lot, especially now in the CDC with these integrated yards and things happening. One never knows, does one? I can't even call it. I've been out of the prison loop for so long, I couldn't explain to you what it takes or what it is to get back onto a yard, but I know people are doing it. I've seen people in my own neighborhood with bad charges get the reversal, do the Chicano U-turn and get embraced, right? It all depends on the people willing to do it and the people willing to go that mile to be embraced. Cain Velasquez, on the other hand, yes, he is in protective custody. Yes, that's a fact. He got a brown shirt on in Santa Clara County. But in his case, it's different. He doesn't have bad charges. He never rolled it up from a gang. He never dropped out of a gang. He was never part of that life. He is a regular dude, a civilian that did a crime of passion, okay, took the law into his own hands, and is just doing time. He's just doing time. You know, one youngster got at me. I knew he was a youngster by the way, his mannerisms and the way he acted, just straight on his typing skills. You know what I mean? When motherfuckers write K instead of okay, I know something's different. And so this motherfucker tried to tell me, yeah, I don't care, bro. Cain Velasquez can get it like everyone else. Okay, well, you get in line. Or in fact, you be the only one in that line. Let's start with you. Since you're so hardcore talking shit about Cain Velasquez, you know, but you'll sit there and you have homeboys that sell dope to children. Homeboys that ride around with young homies in the car, giving them the gun. And here, hold the cuete. Homies that'll fucking beat their old lady up in front of a child. Homeboys that'll do all kinds of this shit. And I'm not saying all gang members do that. I'm just saying motherfuckers have homies like that, right? Oh, he's a real one, bro. That homie's a real one, right? Yeah, okay. But someone who tried to protect his child, someone who really got with the business, man, and showed you, man, ain't no sucker in him. You're going to talk about him because you could walk the main line. The only reason you could walk the main line is homeboys don't know that you fuck with Chiruos. That's why. Once they find out, it's all bad for you, right? Let me tell you, man, it's just a crazy world that we live in, that people are quick to judge someone because of the geography, because of where they're from, or because of where they went. At the end of the day, prison is prison. I don't give a fuck what yard you are in prison. If you're a level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4, you're a man with a knife. And you can get busy just like I can get busy. Everyone can get busy, actively or non-actively. So I don't judge Cain Velasquez on where he's at. You know, but the homeboy did correct me yesterday and give me a phone call. And that's a fact. And I'm sure he's going to watch this video. That's a fucking 100% fact. He called me. He was like, nah, bro, that Valto's in protective custody. Because I was like, he has the possibility of going to GP. I didn't understand or know. I didn't even realize the brown shirt thing in Santa Clara County. But yeah, it is. If you're wearing a brown t-shirt, that means you're housed in protective custody. And that's where Cain Velasquez is. Again, now as far as his time, breaking down the time, 5 years, 85%. That's 3 years, side boom. He's looking at like a year. Okay. Sit there, San Quentin, 3-4 months, transferred Mule Creek or CMC or wherever they transfer him for 3 months. He's out skis, right? No one's going to fucking trip. He's going to go to the yard and sign autographs and do push-ups. That's it. That's all that's going to happen. And there's not going to be a single person in his community, in the MMA community, that are going to ask him, hey, were you in PC? They don't give a fuck. It's the wannabe gang members and the wannabe tough guys that are quick to say, hey, what yard you parole on? Right? What fucking yard you parole on? I never been to prison. Then shut the fuck up. Straight up. You cannot question someone on their gang activity or their prison activity or where they've been if you've never even stepped foot onto a mainline or a GP. If you've never walked in them shoes, how can you tell someone how comfortable they are or uncomfortable? I just never got that. See, I never judged anyone like that. I had homeboys that went to 50-50 yards and stood there. Now, I've been to yards, 50-50 yards, but I had homeboys that been to the yards and stood there, and homeboys are like, oh, he's no good. And I'd be like, shit, I bet you he'll beat your ass, though. That don't mean he's good, though. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, go tell them, Charlie, bro, because that Vato got had. Well, they shut up then, straight up. You know what I mean? And just throw them a fucking beer because you already know what time it is. And I was active at the time. But I knew, of course, man, we can't function in prison, but you're my homeboy since I've known since I was 3 or 4 years old, running around the guys, man, doing our thing. I'm not going to fucking judge you because you went and stood somewhere. I don't know what the fuck was going on, bro, at the time. I know that if we go to jail, you're on one side, I'm on the other. That's what I know. Hey, and in prison, I got to hit you with the, you know what I mean? I can't do that. But out here on the streets, it's a different story. So dudes act like they sit there all tough guy. I'll never fuck with them dudes. But everyone got a homeboy from their neighborhood that's not active, that was in protective custody, or doesn't function, that they still fuck with. Don't lie, man. Don't lie to yourself. Treat yourself. Don't cheat yourself. That's all I got to say. Anyways, Cain Velasquez, so what? Yeah, he's in protective custody. He's going to go to prison. He's going to do his time. He's going to get out, and everyone's going to give him a pat on the back, and he's probably going to get a plaque for being a hero. And that's the truth. Meanwhile, someone like myself or someone else that is not functioning or no longer active, you know, we're looked at a different way. But that's to be expected, because once you sign up for being a gang member, once you participate in that, then you are judged differently. It's just the way it is, man. For those that are like, well, what's the difference with Cain? Well, first of all, he'll beat your ass. Second of all, man, he's never lived that life. With that being said, let me know what you think. Am I right? Am I wrong? Am I wrong to be right? I don't know. Thumbs up or thumbs down. Heavy's going to be the head that wears the crown. I'm going to continue to strive for what I truly believe in. That's the fucking betterment of all people. Hey, you're a PC case. Go tell Cain and see if he don't get you in the camel clutch. Bang, bang.